Hey,
Hey everybody.
Hey folks, sorry for being late.
Hey, Arissa. Red lips popping.
Thank you. Hi. And thanks folks that have joined early. It is 5:58 Eastern and we are going to get started in about 2 minutes. Cool. Thank you all for being here with us today and on time as well. This is National Bailout webinar series, our Free Black Mamas webinar series. And my name is Arissa Hall, and I am the director of National Bailout. I am joined by some really lovely and beautiful folks who are going to talk to us about post-release, supportive services, and healing during and after the bailouts and its importance in our understanding of it as supportive services. So this call, as shared, is specifically about that. The purpose of this call is to focus on care and support and healing and post-relief, both for those that have been bailed out and also for the organizers that have been bailed out. We recognize that healing, especially now in this time of the Rona, has to be a center of all of our work and not just a theory. And what I'm sharing is also based off a workshop that was done by two of our panelists, Harmony Phoenix and Bridget, who we're going to talk more. But this is definitely inspired, my sharing is definitely inspired by their workshop, which was really beautiful and dope, and really spoke to the importance of us centering healing all of the time and healing for all parties that are involved with this bailout, especially now. And then during this conversation, you'll hear from folks talking about what it looks like to build self-realization and self-accountability and community-centered vulnerability. And you'll also hear about the importance and grounding of supportive services and recognizing this as an act of supportive services. For those of you who joined us last week, you had a chance to hear from folks about supportive services and needs assessment and our very real and urgent mandate to meet the needs of our people, especially now during the time of COVID-19, also known as the Rona. So just want to ground us in why we are here, and you'll be hearing from the folks such as Harmony Phoenix, Bridget Simpson and Devon Phillips, who will tell you a little bit more about themselves. But it's going to be dope, y'all. And thank you for joining us. And again, thank you for being on time. As I shared, this is National Bailout webinar series. My name is Arissa, and this is part of a 5-week webinar series. So next week, we'll be talking a little bit more. We'll be talking about comms work, particularly for those that are throwing down and want to learn some comm skills and tools. And the week after that, we'll be talking more about advocacy and troubleshooting. But we are here and we're talking about post-release and healing and supportive services. So just to give you a background into National Bailout and our work, if you do not know, so National Bailout is a collective of Black organizers, lawyers, culture workers, and magic makers across the country who are fighting for and creating a community-based movement to end pretrial detention and mass criminalization. We came together back in 2017 with the invitation by Mary Hooks, who is the co-director of Southerners on the Ground, to do a bailout. That bailout became Black Mama's Bailout, and the groups who committed to doing that became National Bailout. And that was basically the infrastructure. National Bailout was the infrastructure to execute National Black Mama's Bailout. Since then, we have built out over 400 folks since 2017 and counting, as we are currently in the middle of some rapid response and Rona-related bailouts now and preparing for our Black Mamas bailouts in May, which is why we have this webinar series to help inform folks and support folks in their own quest to get our people free through bailouts. We also have some strategic priorities. Our strategic priorities is to continue to bail out Black mamas and caregivers. That is our shit. That is what we do. And that is what we know. And that is also a reflection of our Black queer feminist politic and recognizing that when we talk about mamas and caregivers, we aren't just talking about birth and biological mamas and talking about mamas across the gender spectrum. And two, that we know that our women and femmes are bearing the brunt of incarceration and criminalization, but not oftentimes are talked about as it relates to the solutions. So really wanted to make sure that we were centering Black women and femmes and our Black mamas and caregivers. So in our second, and very important, and y'all might hear my child in the background throughout, he is a Leo and he likes to be heard and seen. So he may pop up. But our second strategic priority is to build a political community with the folks that we bail out. So we do not see ourselves solely as bail payers or service providers, although those are very important roles and duties, but we see ourselves as co-conspirators and comrades with the people that we are bailing out, as we recognize that our liberation is integral to one another and deeply connected, particularly as Black people that are doing this. And yes, Pilar, fire sign all day. So we are, we are working for our collective liberation, and we're doing that with the people that we bail out. And we are also recognizing their expertise and their leadership and building that up. And we have done that through the providing of supportive services and getting to build relationships with them, to also being involved in the fellowship program for the past 2 years where we paid them and they got to skill up politically and strengthen their leadership and their relationships to one another. Our third strategic priority is thought leadership. So like what we're doing now, right? Being an invitation with all of you and inviting y'all into this work, inviting y'all to learn, inviting y'all to throw down and to be a part of this larger community to end mass criminalization and to see abolition continuously in our lifetime and liberation in our lifetime. So we have done that through the webinars. We have done that through creating resources such as our toolkit, which y'all should definitely check out, which is on our website at nationalbailout.org. But if y'all are thinking about doing some rapid response bailouts your damn selves, you can definitely utilize our toolkit as a guide. And people have shared that it's really helpful. So please check that out. And also our curriculum, if you just want to skill up on bail and pretrial detention. It will also be coming out with a report during Black August, where folks can learn more about our work and our lessons and our policy recommendations that are grounded in that. And all throughout all of this, our priority is to support our people. So that is why we are here. Supportive services we have provided, supportive services for the most of the people that we build out, which have ranged from like transportation to long-term housing, to substance use treatment, substance treatment. So that is what we do. That is why we are here, and excited that y'all have joined us on today. So I am going to pass it to Divine, who is from the Center for Resilient Individuals, Families, and Communities. And she can also introduce herself, but Divine is going to ground us in supportive services as a model of our vision.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the call. Hope everyone's staying safe during this time. What I'm gonna go over today is Center for Resilient Individual Families and Communities 90-day plan, and how case managers can assist mamas that they are bailing out during this period. The social service team work as a social service to prioritize what can be offered and where to get resources. So in doing an intake assessment on women that are going to be bailed out, finding out what their needs are, and making sure that they have the resources to sustain these women once they are out. An example of that is if a person is homeless, when they are bailed out, housing will be provided prior to them getting out. Also, the team's roles will be to hold meetings to address strengths and challenges as needed, coordinate with the local bailout team as necessary, communicate opportunities, connect with other organizations, political work, to ensure the best of your collective abilities to get individuals back to court. And that will be different in these times because of the social distancing. So what CRIFC has developed is a system of transportation by utilizing Uber, allowing a case manager to have an Uber account so that they can send rides to the mamas to get to court and to get back. Communicate opportunities to with Participatory Defense, and that is an organization that will assist the mama in being a part of their case, participating in it. And that organization also offers court watch support. Discuss and decide protocol if women become rearrested during a 90-day program. That is essential also, guys, in the event that the person is rearrested. What will be your organization's protocol? Collectively utilize bail tracker and address barriers to folks attending court dates. Work to ensure all women, queer and trans people are assessed using an assessment prior to the bailout. Make sure consent forms are signed for all women. Work with bailout teams and case manager to ID women during bailouts and welcome them back into society. Do research and compile resources of existing infrastructures as needed, as in a lot of cities now they have something which is called mutual aid. I would advise that everyone connect with all the resources available in their community to assist the moms. And the social service stabilization case managers responsibilities will be to provide 90 days of case management, which will entail employment, treatment, housing, mental health, medical, legal needs, and family and community support. Also to connect them with the organizations that you are working with and make sure that your values are aligned. Also to be clear as to the reason why you are bailing someone out. What your campaign is. For SONG, it is to end money bond. So to make it clear that the reason that you're bailing the person out is to show the state that money is not what keeps y'all from coming to court. The social service stabilization regional coordinator will conduct continual site assessments, consulting, site setup, and for regional bailout sites, conduct hiring process and training, mentoring case manager for each site, assist assist with site evaluations, case management, teams and individuals who are bailed out. Assist with social service stabilization team with oversight and accountability if needed. Assist social service stabilization teams and make sure that CRIFC has all paperwork necessary for accountability to grant funds as needed. Act as a liaison between regional social service teams and the different organizations. There will be weekly meetings to discuss barriers case managers are having and how they can be assisted and helped. Just talking about each case individually, how they are progressing. So that's all I have on the social service part. If there's any questions, I'm free to answer.
Cool. Thank you, Yvonne. And we're going to hold questions to the end. But I will pass it to Ivana, who's also from CRIFC, to speak to how this is a vision and part of our like collective vision regarding like abolition as well. And so, Ivana, if you want to take it away, and Ivana, you can feel free to also jump in and y'all can do it however the spirit moves you. Ivana, if you are speaking, you're on mute. I just unmuted you.
Okay. Yes, so y'all can hear me now, can y'all? Okay, so basically I just wanted to touch in based on to what Devon was saying, and just talk about how the how communication is a big factor into case management, and you want to make sure that you have the most updated information prior to when they are bailed out. So you just want to make sure that they have cell phones. I did see somebody message, I had a question about cell phones. I'm not sure if anybody, I couldn't see that. But so you want to make sure that there is y'all have some form of communication. And most of the time, some of the moms don't have cell phones. That's one of the experience I had an issue with. We had no way of staying in contact with one another. So there are links that I have that I can share. I'm not sure how to do that on here, how to send it in a text, but it's called SafeLink Wireless. And basically I wasn't able to gather all the information that's needed for the moms to be able to enroll. So I'm unsure of any documents that might be needed, but you can easily enroll from what I was told, and it's free and easy to access. But there's also other options as well for temporary until you get the phone to use, to consider, like eBay, Amazon. They have phones cheap that are less than $20, and you can put minutes on there for temporary use. And I would print off a document, kind of like how you would go in as if you were checking out a book from a library. Just create a document, they sign it for temporary use to use the phone, and then they would bring it back, and until they get this other SafeLink phone going. And so yeah.
Thank you,
Devon.
Ivana.
Yeah.
Thank you. Is it possible for both you or Devon to just share like why supportive services is so important, and like just basically, yeah, why is it so important, especially to helping to keep folks safer, and also to make them less vulnerable to rearrest, and also to build relationships? Like Devon, I've heard you speak about I've witnessed Devon build beautiful relationships with the people that have been bailed out in Durham, particularly as build really, really like dope and strong relationships. And I think it was because of the way that you've been able to support people Divine. So just like speaking to like the importance of that and like how you've been able to build relationships while providing services.
Yes, Arissa, that is true. It is extremely important to build a relationship with the mamas that you bail out. It's not really easy to do, but if you remain consistent with calling a person on a regular basis and being involved in their lives, asking probing questions like, what are the things that you want to accomplish? They will become more interested in getting the help that they need. One thing I've learned is that in providing services, it's best to act as if you're in a car with the person and they're driving and they're just asking you for directions to a location and you're giving them the directions. Let them lead their treatment. Let them be a part of getting the help that they need. And it's more important than just giving them a gift card. It's empowering the people. Once they realize that you are interested in their lives and their goals, they're more open to working with you. And in doing that, they become interested in the organization that you work with. Because if you express an interest in their lives, they'll express that, you know, they want to be a part of something to help others. And that has been my experience. As a formerly incarcerated woman, I was given an opportunity to be the case manager for the Durham site. And but we bailed out 11 women, and out the 11 women, 7 of the women, their cases were dismissed. We have built relationships with these people. 3 of the women became fellows. I was a site coordinator. They are now employed. Their lives they feel that their lives are better at this point. We bailed out a young woman who was 17 at the age, at the time that we bailed her out, and she was pregnant and she has had her baby. We have given her a baby shower. We're looking forward to her becoming the fellow for the song chapter this year. So it's all in building leadership and just exposing them and educating them to the organizations and the work that they're doing.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Divine. Thank you so much. Yeah, with the work that y'all have been doing and like the transformation as well of folks has been really, really beautiful and dope to see and witness. Cool. So I'm going to move along and really appreciate that grounding and supportive services and really how it is part of this vision for us. Because we know that we can't just be bailing people out, that we have to be able to support them and invite them into something larger. So I'm going to pass it to Bridget from Women on the Rise, who is going to talk to us about just post-release and what that looks like for folks that may just be getting home and things that to be considered.
Hi, greetings, everybody. Well, my name is Bree. I go by she and beautiful, whichever you see fit. Okay, so post-release, release, and just like I said it right, I guess it was a Freudian slip, the release, because it is a lot to deal with, having, especially now, I'm gonna tailor it to COVID-19. Right now, people are feeling like they came from one prison going to another prison. So it's very important to just own your piece in your brother and sister coming into the world once again, especially a Black mama who has so much in addition to being a formerly incarcerated person. So some of the things that I noticed that folks face, I myself was formerly incarcerated 10 years, and some of the things that I endured when I came home was just being left out of the narrative for everything. I was left out of the narrative for work. I was left out of the narrative for often food. Depending on what your charges are, they do the whole, you know, one is worse than the other, and they will even base the help that they will be willing to give you based on what you're charged with. When we know that each of us have harmed, but the way that true abolitionists, I don't even believe that they should even dogs should be in cages. But I do believe that we as a community, especially in movement, need to be held to a higher standard in how we elevate and how we treat folks who are formerly incarcerated. Devon had a fantastic point about how important it is to be in relationship with folks who are formerly incarcerated, especially the folks that you bail out, and how important it is for you not to call folks convicts, inmates, things of those nature, because those are hurtful words and they're also very restricted words, right? Like, so they leave you stuck in a place where you were for whatever part of time that you were in. And please feel free, if anybody has any questions during my talk, feel free to ask, because a lot of this is because folks don't know, right? Like, they don't know what's going on and they don't understand. And things have been common for a long time, right? So like, it's been common for folks to call people inmates and ex-cons and and all of those things. But we know that those are terminologies that take away from how we would like to see ourselves and how we would define ourselves and how we identify. We identify as people. So we would just like to put that forward, especially in spaces where we are responsible for sharing information with folks. So like I said, my journey, I've been home now for 2 years, and I've been left out of a lot of things, and but I think it's more hurtful when I see my sisters being left out. Like, even right now, like with the disaster relief loans that the SBA is they're manning, we can't even get that. Like, if you're a business owner and you're formerly incarcerated, you don't get to be a part of that. They ask you 2 questions, you go by, they advertise, and then you get to question 5 and 6 that ask you if you're on probation or parole, and that makes you ineligible for disaster relief. And if we think about what that really is saying, again, that brings us back to the fact that folks who are formerly incarcerated don't get to be people anymore. And we know where this all spanned from, and the teaching that these Black codes and all those other things that came about to keep us where we are. And it's really dehumanizing. I see that in every way that we go. Like, we'll get to a certain point, you'll be qualified for the job, you'll you can pay your rent, but because you're formerly incarcerated, you don't get to sit at the table, you don't get to sleep in a bed. Like, your alternate lifestyle will have to be maybe to live in a shelter. So that's where we come in, right? So that is how we own our responsibility for how we show up for our people and how we be with one another. So like, when I stumbled across movement, like, I felt like the paralyzed parts of me, like, actually started moving. Like, so like, we don't know about our voice, but once we discovered it, like, it's here and we're here. And it's not okay, even in movement, for folks to like box us out. So like, so that's why it's so important what NBO does and how they contribute to the learning and to the advancement of people who are formerly incarcerated by saying that I was a site coordinator. There were folks that were fellows who are blossoming right now, that without that opportunity to know that they was the shit, they would know. So like, so that's why each of us, even if it's just correcting your vernacular and how you refer to people and how you identify with people and how you identify people, you have to take accountability. And I think this is the point where we are. Like, a lot of folks, they have a savior complex, right? Like, so we help folks who are formerly incarcerated, so they are forever indebted to us, and we cause them harm. Sometimes harm worse than the cages, and it's even more harmful when it's people in movement, when it's Black people, when it's women, when it's queer people, when we separate each other based on things other than humanity. It's fucked up. So my biggest tip to folks who are on the phone, folks who are here in the Zoom, and folks who are gonna show us where your priorities are by putting your money where your heart is and ending up some coin to buy your sister's freedom. And I would say to just own your part, own your piece, own your piece. If you're in a conversation and you say that you're here to build us up, but you're calling us inmates, then you're not building, you're destructive. So I would say that to do your part, please do your part. And if we all do our part, like white supremacy would be down, right? Like we will kick down the doors of Babylon, right? Like we would be here for really be here and not just kind of be here, like the kind of be here when it's your trans sister and, oh, I'm good with you on this part, but I'm not good with you on that part. Or if it's somebody that's, you know, formerly incarcerated, oh yeah, we could go there, but you know, but that inmate, hold up, like that inmate is me. So I just, yeah, so that's my tidbit. Anybody got any questions, feel free.
Yeah, come through, Minister Bree. Come through. That was a whole word, a whole word. Thank you for sharing that, and thank you for like holding us in accountable, like in accountability in an accountable community. I really appreciate that. You really lit up our chat box. Folks are coming through, just sharing that was fire. Folks that have been formerly incarcerated are just, you know, talking about like that experience and having those same conversations before. Folks are recognizing that the language that people use to describe formerly incarcerated people is violent, right? And dehumanizing, and it's oftentimes it be, you know, it be your own. So like that's hella real. And also just like really appreciate that call, especially using the New York anthem, Andy Up, for folks to, you know, for folks to give according to their heart, right? Like we know that like donations and like what we put our money to, oftentimes, especially when we have wealth and resources, our value, like where our values lie. And value calls and value judgment. So as Bridget said, if folks believe in freeing our people, if folks believe in the work that National Bailout is doing, and if you have the means to do so, then we really encourage y'all to donate, because that is how we are able to get our people free, and to listen and to believe, and to listen and to believe and follow the leadership of formerly incarcerated people, particularly women and femmes and gender non-conforming folks, right? And not only to a certain extent. So really, really deeply appreciate what you said, and it really made me think about that Audre Lorde quote, if I don't define myself for myself, I'll be crunched into other people's fantasies and eaten alive. So thank y'all, like really thank you for what you said. It's super important. If folks have questions, put that in the chat box. Folks we will have time at the end for folks to share as well. But I'm going to pass it to HP, who also co-facilitated this really dope-ass workshop, at our pre-convenant in Tennessee back in February, where we also got to go through an exercise about language and the language that's associated with formerly incarcerated people. So thank y'all for bringing that back into the space. Go ahead, HP. And HP is part of Song Greensboro chapter.
Hey y'all, can y'all hear me? Okay, great. My name is Harmony Phoenix. If you say Harmony, please say Phoenix, or HP. My pronouns are they, he. And I'm here to, first of all, thank MBO for asking for this to be a necessary core part of these bailouts. I was a site coordinator for the first bailout that Greensboro Song did last year. And what I'm here to do right now is just share the learnings that, share what I learned is needed, and also the work that I do. I do abolition work, I do gender justice work, I'm a doula, and I'm also a healer. And so for me, every facet of this work needs to be centered in healing, because if we don't center it in healing justice and transformative justice, we make way for punitive justice, in our relationships. And we like to say the phrase, if we say fuck 12, that means we don't act like cops to each other. And so what that means is that we don't have this sense of punitive justice within ourselves, right? And so, and also, like, I co-facilitated the workshop that Arissa was talking about with Bridget, and learned a lot from Bridget in creating this workshop, because we, like Bridget said, we learn from formerly incarcerated people, and we allow them to lead while we do this work. And to emphasize what Yvonne said, we are not here to tell people how to be after they come out of cages. We are there to support them in whatever way they see their lives going, right? And so I'm going to talk about 3 things that we discussed in the workshop as tools that I feel like are helpful for not only the folks that we will bail out, but also for organizers, the folks that's doing this, because it's strenuous as fuck. It is a lot. It's a lot of emotional labor. And if you're not taking care of yourself, you're not going to be able to support the folks that you bail out. And so one of these practices is called resonance. And I learned this from a Black trans immigrant named Miski Noor. If you know them, they're out in Minneapolis. I learned it from a momentum training. And what resonance is, it's a way for us to be able to actually actively listen to each other, and to be able to have conversations where folks feel like they're heard, and not brushed off and dismissed, because that's what happens a lot of times when folks share their stories, right? And so there are a couple of rules to resonance, and there'll be toolkits for this, so don't worry about having to write all of this down, and this is also recorded. So the rules for resonance, you don't, when someone tells you something that's vulnerable, you want to hold that. You don't make it about you. So if someone tells you, oh, my dog died yesterday, you don't say, well, my 3 dogs and my cat got hit by a car the other day. You don't do that, right? Like you don't turn the situation around and make it about you. Another key point in resonance is you don't one up or one down. So like if somebody is expressing something to you, you don't say, well, one downing would be like, I can't even imagine how you got through that. That must have been like whatever, because it doesn't, that's not empowering language, right? Like that keeps them in the box of victimhood. And what we want to do is empower folks to feel like they're survivors and not victims. And so you don't do that, right? And then the one upping, you don't do the, well, this happened to me, kind of the same thing I said with the dog, right? Like this happened to me and this was so much worse, so you should be able to manage that. That's not what we're here doing, right? And we're also not here to be, we're not therapists. Some people might be therapists, but you're not there in a therapist capacity right then, right? So we're not diagnosing people. We're not telling people that they need to be on this medication. We're not saying that you need to go and do these things. That's not what we are here for, right? That's called unsolicited advice, right? We're not giving that. And a way that you resonate with folks, right? First of all, you want to make sure that people know that you are listening. So if you can reflect back to them something that they've said and how it moved you, how it resonated with you. Like I felt it in my body, Yvonne, when you said that we are in a car and that person is driving and we're in the passenger seat giving them directions. That's how you would resonate, right? And what that does, again, what that does is you make folks feel heard. I am not someone who, I'm not a formerly incarcerated person, but I've, everyone in my, basically everyone in my family has been inside of a cage. Like my uncle right now is in Rikers and has COVID-19. And so while that's not my story, I can still know that one of the things that folks, when they come out of a cage, especially if they're Black, especially if they are AFAB, that means assigned female at birth. If they are trans, if they are queer, if they are parent, that means that they already don't feel listened to, right? We don't hear from them. They're always quieted. They're always undermined. And so what we don't want to do, What we don't want to do is replicate those same systems. We don't want to come in with a savior complex and say that we know what's best for you. We don't want to come in with this, like, I know what's best for you because I have this level of like politicizing and education and all the rest of that. That doesn't empower people, right? It makes them feel less than, in the same way that white supremacy has made them feel that way all their lives. So that's not what we're trying to do here, and that's what resonance does. It makes them feel like their voice has power, because it does. And it makes them feel like they're leaders, because they are. And it makes them feel like that they're important, because they are. Does that make sense? I'm hoping so. I'm trying not to go off, because I get real up in here when I talk about stuff like this. And so that is that is why we resonate, and that is how you resonate. So you sit and you listen. How we did it in the workshop is we gave folks 2 minutes to share, and then we spent 2 minutes resonating with those people. So this is something that you could do, like with fellows that you have, like if you're a site coordinator, you can do it in a workshop space, but you want to have, I'm sorry, it's a car going by, I'm outside. You want to practice resonance, period. You should be doing this in your life with people that you care about, with everyone that you are in relationship with, because we all just want to be heard, right? We all want to be heard. And so we need to practice hearing other people in order for us to be able to be heard as well. It's a reciprocal thing. So that's the importance of resonance, right? And then, so another thing that we talked about in the workshop was breath work. One of the things that Adrienne Maree Brown, if you don't know who Adrienne Maree Brown is, Google her. She's amazing. And I went to a workshop that she facilitated, Emergent Strategy Immersion, and I realized that I did not know how to breathe. And so when I say that, I mean that we all, inhale, exhale to keep our bodies going and to move oxygen. But most of the time, especially when we are traumatized people and we are colonized people because of white supremacy, it's very hard for us to know how to breathe and be in control of our breath. And so breath work is an amazing tool to be able to calm yourself. We know that folks deal with anxiety, people deal with many things that keep them from being inside of their body. And so I'll model what's called box breathing. I'll model that, and you can feel free to do it with me because it's helpful and it grounds you. So if you are sitting, put your feet firmly on the floor, put your back straight up, put your hands on your thighs. And this is like as you're able. If you want to stand, that helps too, to move through your body, but you don't have to. And what box breathing is you inhale for 4 seconds, you hold that breath for 4 seconds, you exhale for 4 seconds, and then you hold again for 4 seconds. Okay, so I'm gonna model that. And we're gonna inhale, hold, exhale, and hold. Inhale, hold, exhale, hold. And so if you did that with me, pay attention to how your body feels now versus the way that it did before in the beginning of this call. I feel a lot more grounded in myself. I feel a lot more here. I feel a lot more present. You need to have control over your breath so that you know that you are in control of your body, because what happens is that we just breathe and like we don't feel like we're in control of anything, even our breath. And as long as you have breath, you have life. And as long as you have breath, you have power. And so we want to have control of that so that we can control our power and we can control our life. Does that make sense? I'm hoping that that makes sense. I can't see y'all shaking y'all head if y'all are. That's the importance of breath work. And that's just one way of breathing. There are many different ways to control your breath, and that's just one way. And I'm gonna say another tip that you can give to yourselves and folks that are doing this work with you also is like tapping, right? So tapping helps my anxiety a lot. What you do is you put your hands like your fingertips and you tap on your shoulders. You can tap on your chest. You tap on your face, on your neck, and your head. And what that does, if you're in a heightened sense of like fight or flight, which is, like I said, anxiety, that tricks your body into thinking that it's calm because you're doing something continuous and it's a soft touch, but it's still enough for your body to register it, and then it puts you back into your body. So if you practice that along with the breath work, you're able to be in control of situations that you might not normally be in control of. So that's another tool. And then also, this is something that's not there, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Get in contact with the people that's doing this work. I would not have been able to survive without Devon. Let me just say that, okay? Devon was a rock for me during this whole supportive services, not supportive services, through the fellowship and everything that we were doing. Build relationships with that is one of the things that we are told to do, is to build relationships with each other. And so being an organizer that's handling all of this, it's overwhelming. And a lot of folks are formerly incarcerated folks. So like, cause we got fellows that was fellows last year that's site coordinators now, shout out to E-Money. So we wanna make sure that we're taking care of ourselves and building real authentic relationships so that we can depend on each other, because that's what we need. Inter-community and communal healing is what we need. And how we do that is through relationships. And one of the other things that we gave in the workshop was journaling. And I know that sounds real like, oh, like journaling, whatever, but no, like for real, journal. And I don't mean like journal, like little, what is the perfect weather that you would, not that, like journal some real shit. Like what's something that you haven't forgiven yourself for, that you need to forgive yourself for? Write letters to your former self. You can do this exercise with folks that you bail out, and you ask them like, what is something that you needed when you were incarcerated, and you write that letter to yourself. Does that make sense? What is something that you were going through, that you were traumatized and you needed? Write that to yourself. Journaling is a powerful, powerful, powerful tool to move through things and also to get things out. And again, this is the thing that folks just want to be heard, right? So like when you write these things down, sometimes it's just helpful just to get it out. And sometimes it's just helpful to get it out and share it with people that can understand, right? In the workshop, we had formerly incarcerated folks, and like almost all of what they wrote in there was all the same. And so how powerful is it to journal something, and somebody that you don't know anything about had that same experience and needed the same thing as you? And it also helps you to parent your inner child. That's something that I'm very big on. Again, I'm a healer. Your inner child, that's where our wounds come from. Our trauma and the things that we go through as kids follow us into adulthood if we do not address it. If we do not address it and heal from it, we will continue these cycles. In the same way that I said that we need to center healing and transformative justice, or we make way for punitive justice, it's because we haven't practiced anything else. So you can say that you're an abolitionist, but if you're cutting people off because you don't know how to work through conflict, you're actually not. And that's just what it is, right? And then again, with how Bridget said about the language, it's not formerly incarcerated people's job to teach you how to speak to them like a human. So you need to do your own research and how to be in relationship with people that you are stepping up to be in this job with. Does that make sense? Like you can't just do the job because you feel like it's cool. There's studying that has to happen. There's reflection that has to happen. There's growth that has to happen. You don't go into this thinking that you are helping these people that you're bailing out. What you do is you do this work knowing that you are going to build relationships and grow with these folks. I wouldn't be able to say these things if I didn't have the fellows that I had last year. So I just want to say that, and that's all I got, folks. That's all I got. Oh, wait, no, just kidding. I don't know what people's faiths are, and that's okay. Make an ancestral altar. make an ancestral altar. If you don't know how to do that, please feel free to hit me up, because that's also a thing that you have to do when we talk about healing these childhood hurts. We also have to think about our ancestors that didn't get a chance to do that. And mostly they have the answers. They have the answers to things that we don't, because they have lived through things that we cannot imagine. No, we are still not free, but we are not bound the way they were. And so having a relationship with spirit, have whatever you call your power, whatever faith that you have, you need to deepen in that and ask for guidance in how to move through this work. And that's what I got, y'all.
Yes, can we, you know, I know we don't see our attendees, we are in the webinar mode. But yes, to the fire emojis, to the praise hands, to the prayer hands, to the heart, all of the things. Y'all can shower HP and our lovely panelists with that. Like, say the things, y'all, because they have brought the heat, and they have brought like the necessary tool. No, for real, I was about to cry. HP be making me about to cry. But you know, it's really important work. And it's part of like our abolitionist praxis. Just as HP said, like we have to do more than talk the talk. We definitely have to walk the walk, and walking the walk is healing ourselves and being transformed in the service of this work. So I'm gonna open it up for questions. Y'all might have questions. We got some questions in our question and answer box. Okay, y'all. So the first question that we have is from Mary Beth, and they're asking what's the eligibility requirements for these services. I think they're speaking about supportive services, so I don't know, Devon or Ivana, if y'all wanna take this one. And if y'all are speaking, y'all are on mute.
Okay, the requirements for the SafeLink phone is just to have a name and address. I believe the social security number is requested, and an address for it to be sent. As far as services in your community, that's the research you would have to do, because this is a national organization. So in different areas, services are limited to that area alone, but it's easy to access them. One of the new things that I'm aware of is mutual aid, and I'm learning a lot of cities and counties, rural counties, are engaging in a mutual aid. So please look up mutual aid, and then you can look what county or city you're in.
Word. And I'll also add to that all of the folks that we bail out, we provide the option for them to receive supportive services. And we also do like a needs assessment, and currently are standardizing that needs assessment for all of our bailouts this year. And the needs assessment is basically a tool that we're using to figure out our people's needs and to help meet those needs. And also figure out our people's skills and contributions to support with their leadership and their growth as well. So y'all can holla, continue to holla, especially about supportive services. And we also, to make it real clear, because we again are walking our abolitionist walk and being in our practice. So we are not making folks that a requirement, right? We're not gonna be like, oh, if, you know, we ain't gonna bail you out if you don't go to this drug program, right? Like, again, we are not operating as a state. We are not out here trying to replicate harm and punishment. And yes, and so there is a needs assessment template. We sent it to y'all, but we can definitely bump it up for you. So I have some more questions. There's a question regarding, can the individuals who's returning citizens access your resources and services? So we do bail folks out that are undocumented. We pay immigration bond and do that through Black Alliance for Just Immigration, so folks who are undocumented can surely, and we also know that folks that are undocumented are in our local jails as well, so they can surely access our services and local services if they get bailed out through National Bailout or our partners. Then we got a really important question that I'm sure everybody has, because HP came through and gave us our life. Can we hire HP to do personal healing sessions with our group? Y'all can definitely hire HP. HP, tell them things.
First of all, wow. Wow, thank you. Wow, I'm just okay. Yes, you can hire me. I do one-on-one healing services, and I also do organizational services. I'm an astrologer also, and astrology is a very key point in how to do this work also. So yes, you can hire me. My email, I put it in the chat. I can put it in there again. I also have a website for one-to-one services. I can put my social media in the chat box as well. So yes, absolutely, like, hire me. I'm here. It's the Rona. I ain't got shit to do. And it can all be done virtually. So yeah, and there was a question about the altar. Sorry, Arista, I just want to answer this just like broadly for folks on the call, because it's very simple. To create an ancestral altar, you need it needs to be on the floor. If you can manage it, put it on the floor. If not, then like a table is fine too. You need a clear glass of water. You need a clear glass of water. You need pictures of your dead. You need a candle. You want to have all elements. So you want fire, you want air, so like an incense, you want water, and then you want earth. Because in earth, you do that every day when you feed them. Whatever you eat, you take some of whatever you eat and put it down for them to feed them. And then when you're done eating, then you take it up. That's as simple as I can make it. The one-to-one thing becomes how you interact with your altar and how to communicate. But that's how you set it up. So again, a clear glass, a glass that you have not used, with water, fire, so a candle, incense, and food. You can also put plants down if you would like, and pictures of your dead. Do not put pictures of people who are still alive. And that's how you create an ancestral altar. And yes, hire me. I have a 5-year-old and we need it, okay? Hire me. I'm available.
Yes, Kim, yes. Word. And also, somebody else asked a question, since we are on the subject of HP, about, I think it was Vincente, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, about just like if this is available online or like consistently. So we are, hopefully HP will be able to offer these services and do a healing and grief circle for our organizers and the people that we bail out in the coming weeks. And we will definitely keep folks posted about that. But, and if you are an organizer that are doing bailouts and things like that, especially, please holler at us and let us know that, so we can just keep y'all in the loop. We invite people to our Operation Committee calls, which is also a support space and a place where you can learn about bailouts that are happening in real time, where you can share like your needs, your legal support needs, your technical assistance needs, and we will try to scheme about how to best meet those needs and build community with folks that's doing this across the country. Now we need it more than ever. So just wanted to name that as a thing. So if you are doing this, holla at us and we'll put our participation form in the chat box so you can fill that out, so we can be in touch with you about all the things that we're offering to our organizers that are throwing down. Eva asked for clarity about who's offering to be able to be hired for consulting on the altar, and that was Harmony Phoenix. And Eva, since you are on, I don't know if you're still on audio, but I'll just say that Harmony Phoenix's email is astoldbyharmony @gmail.com. And so that is as told by Harmony, and Harmony is HARMONY. Cool, and I think we have one more. Pilar asks, if you are a youth organization, can you still partner up? Sure, Pilar, I've spoken to you before. Hey, Pilar. Share, I think you have my email, so we can definitely, and I don't know if you're talking about national bailout, but if you are specifically talking about national bailout, Pilar, you can definitely send me an email, and we can figure out about what that looks like. Cool. Is there other questions?
I'm sorry,
Oh.
can I just say real quick, if y'all are following me on Instagram, please send me a message and tell me that it's from this. Otherwise, if we don't have any mutuals, I will not accept you. So just send me a message and let me know that it's from this call, please.
Right. Do folks have other questions that they want to share with us and our beautiful panelists? This was the shortest webinar that we've had, and also like deeply powerful. So I really want to thank our bomb-ass panelists, Harmony Phoenix, Bridget, Bree, beautiful, Divine, and Ivana, who are out here just doing the work to support our people and to do the work to support our people. Cool. Thank y'all. Thank y'all, thank y'all, thank y'all. And I hope, and so just so y'all know, next week, Wednesday, we'll be having another one at 6 o'clock, and that's going to be about comms. If folks want to support, you can go to nationalbailout.org. If folks want any information that was not shared, you can go to info@nationalbailout.org, and we'll also be sending this out tomorrow or by Friday. And if folks, both myself and Harmony Phoenix have one of these very fly National Bailout shirts that's been made by our friends at Philadelphia Printworks and designed by a Black woman named Monique Ray. If you want to cop one, if you want to purchase one, you can go to our website at nationalbailout.org or Philadelphia Printworks. So stay as safe as y'all can. Take care of yourselves, love up on your people, and thank you all for joining us again. Peace, y'all.
Thank you.